Today I'm going to be talking about what really happened between Kyle Larson and Bubba Wallace. To me, it's quite obvious what was going on, but nobody else seems to be saying it, so I guess I'm going to have to say it. But first I got to do a PSA, because I'm going to be doing a whole lot of railing on Bubba Wallace. I got to tell everybody, you're going to keep your comments to his driving and the content of his character. If you go anywhere else, I'm just going to ignore and delete you. That's the way I do things in my real life. I have no problem doing it on the internet. It's going to be a lot easier to do on the internet. And thanks to the mainstream media, I already know that NASCAR fans don't think this way, but just in case somebody has managed to infiltrate us and all you good people out there watching, I am going to state this out loud. Stick to his driving and the content of his character, or you're going to get deleted. So guys naturally do this thing where we have to size up other guys we're meeting. And we grow out of it as we get older. It's definitely something we do a lot more when we're younger and in high school and that kind of thing. But we have to size up other guys because we never know when we're going to have to throw down with somebody for whatever reason. I mean, it goes like way back to our survival lizard brain type thing. So guys always have to size up other guys. This is why they televise the weigh-ins for professional fighters when they're going to do the boxing or the MMA. They show us the fighters weighing in, and then they take the promo pics standing up to each other. That's why they show us these things, so we can size up the opponents for us to visually look at them and see them and how they do size up to each other. So it's not something we can stop. It's just something that happens. So when drivers, because drivers have all met each other, they got to meet each other in the pre-races and the meetings before the races, and so the drivers constantly see each other. And whether it probably happened the first time, but adults can typically put it to the back of their head. It's not something that you keep at the forefront. It might stick a little longer when you see like the gas man walking, because the gas man is usually the biggest man on all the pit crews. So when you see him, like he naturally comes around a corner or something, God damn, that motherfucker's big. It might happen like that, but it's not something we typically think about. We tend to mature. Believe it or not, it does happen. We do mature after like 40 years old or so. I don't care what you say. Dutch oven's always going to be funny. So in this sizing up, you've even done it with your friends, even though the friends, it gets even put further in the back of your mind. But it's something that's even having happen with them. So when you get somebody that's more of like an acquaintance, that's a fellow driver, you're close to them, but at the same time you're not. You're very cordial 90% of the time. But after a race, because of what either of you two have been doing in the race, man, it can turn friends into enemies. But in this sizing up, when you notice somebody that is much smaller than you, same way I just told you that the gas man is somebody you'll notice and keep saying, God damn, he's big. You'll also notice, man, that guy is small. When you see somebody else that's coming around the corner, and every time you see them, you kind of actually turn your head down to look at them eye to eye, because they're that much shorter. And your teenagers, male and female, are both probably bigger than Kyle Larson is as a driver today. Look at the size of him. In any pic I can never find, he's always looking. Here's his girlfriend. He's got to look up to see his girlfriend in the eyes. Here's Jeff Gordon talking to him last year. Wait, next pic. Here's Jeff Gordon talking to him. And Jeff Gordon, he's a small guy, and even he has to look down to Kyle Larson. That's how small of a man this guy is. And if you got a bully mentality, you'll really lock into your head the people that are smaller, especially much smaller, that you can bully. Especially when you look around at the rest of the drivers and you still got to kind of look. It's not like a great difference, but being 5'8" and looking at guys that are 5'11", there's a slight difference. Everybody else that was a driver last year, he has to look up to. Whereas Kyle Larson is the only one he has to look down to speak with. So that keeps in the back, especially when you're a bully. That really locks into your head. After the incident, we of course had the interview with Bubba Wallace. And listen to what he says here. Everybody knows I don't let off the gas. Okay, that is the dumbest thing to ever say about being in a race. Of course you let off the gas. This move is probably done by every driver 10 times in that race alone, and it probably got done to him 10 times in that race alone. This is a common maneuver. The way these cars handle today, the horsepower, they're all matching horsepower. You gotta be semi slimy to do it. But since they're all doing it, it's kind of like been okayed. It's everybody knows it still sucks, but they have to do it in order to pass. Sometimes you know you're faster than the car in front of them and you can't get around them. So you'll do this thing where you're going to end up riding up and you're going to pinch them in the wall. They let off the gas because they're scared that you're going to keep rising up and you're going to end up putting them in the wall. I mean, let's look at some footage of the incident. That is exactly what Kyle Larson is doing. He took the inside. He's riding up, creeping up, creeping up. And anybody at this point lets off the gas. So, yes, that car will get the position on you, but you don't wreck out of the race and be done the race. That is what Bubba Wallace did. He stayed on the gas, so of course they connected. Then after he bounced off the wall, he drove all the way down to make sure he finished off Kyle Larson and himself. I mean, one of the first things you got to learn in racing is how to wreck somebody else but keep your car in one piece. That's why Danica's par failed out. She couldn't wreck another car when she was trying to get paybacks. So the whole mentality that I'm not going to let off the gas, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in racing, unless there's something else to it. There's some other factor that's keeping you fixed on that driver. And there's got to be a reason for it. So what is the reason that Bubba might want to take out this bit of revenge on Larson? Did he cut him off the last race? Did he bang him under caution or something that we just don't know about? About a year and a half earlier, Kyle Larson was playing this video game, and he was on the open airways, and he used the word. And from there, he ended up getting fired, lost a year, and came back, and then won the chip. But anyway, it was Kyle Larson that used the word. Now, of all the things I'm gonna rail on Bubba Wallace so much in all my videos. There's one thing that I cannot rail on him for, and that is this right here. I don't know what it's like to be the lone black man in the sport of NASCAR, where you are the only representation of an entire race, and how it's going to affect him. I just don't know. I'm not in that circumstance, and I'm not going to pretend to be. But for Bubba, was that a reason that he was seeking revenge? This is the guy that used the word, and he did not use it in a derogatory sense. There's only one word in the entire language that has rules to it, and that's the word that Larson used. And nobody sends out memos of what those rules are, so he ended up using it when he shouldn't have used it at all. I'm against anybody using it anytime with any suffix. It should never be uttered whatsoever. So Larson did, and he had to pay the circumstances and all that followed. But how does that make Bubba feel, knowing that he did use the word? And so does he have this revenge mentality going on? And I do believe that is actually what happened as to what's going on, as to why this whole incident happened. I mean, because the whole idea of, I don't let off the gas, that is such a stupid idea, a notion going forward. It can't be the real reason at all. Everybody lets off the race so they don't get wrecked when somebody's pinching them into the wall. So I do believe that this is what actually was going on in Bubba's head. Because like I said, the driving maneuver is a basic maneuver. And he gave the dumb excuse afterwards of it. I do believe it was sitting in his head that this is the guy that said, this is also why Bubba would have walked across the hot track for such a long distance. Those cars weren't close together. It took him a while to get over there. This is why he was launching himself at Larson. I mean, look at these launches here. He's almost at a 45-degree angle to get a tremendous amount of force to try and push Larson and try and knock him off his feet. I think once he saw that Larson wasn't going to give him any kind of pushback, it was just kind of like, I'm not going to do nothing. I think it might have clicked, and I better let this go. But all the things are adding up that it was still stuck in his craw, that's what was happening. And that's why Bubba was also still so mad when he's walking back to his pit stall, that he was ignoring the NASCAR person there. That's why he was ignoring him. He was bringing it up. This is the guy, and really feeling the emotion at that moment, and that's why he was ignoring the NASCAR official and walked over to his pits. I mean, let's face it, the whole ordeal that Bubba did there was just rude and ignorant, and as far as an asshole as you can possibly be. But if he had that other thing in his mind, I'm slightly going to give him a pass for it, because I don't know the circumstances of how it actually affects people to hear that when it is their race. So there it is. This happened because Kyle Larson, already being sized up as this small, tiny guy, is the one that said the word. And that stuck in Bubba Wallace's head all the way to the point that he could cause this drama. He wanted this fight to happen. So he finally found a point in which he could cause the conflict to happen on the track. He thought it was a valid point to say, I don't let off the gas. We all know that's the dumbest thing to ever say. But he finally caused the conflict to happen. He was finally able to confront Larson, even though he never brought up the whole bigger thing of him saying it. This is still what it's all about, is Kyle Larson used the word. If you like what you heard in this video, give me a like and subscribe. You guys have no idea how much it means to get a subscribe and a like on my videos. Me just starting out, it's really important. If you want to keep hearing new and intriguing things that I can bring you, give me that like and subscribe. Thank you very much. See you next time.